runners talk to Guiding Way and get the 5 official objectives for this race. Looks like we're just about ready to start. Looks like Kemps and Lofoz are starting the run right now.
So let's see who our second character and our first item is. Sid and the pan, given to us by a Kelka Brenadal.
Now that Sid is going to make it so that the DPS in the early part of the game is pretty irrelevant. Sid is very strong compared to most of the base level characters, so he can really carry a lot of the fights in the early part of the game. So you don't need to worry that much about Forum as far as her inability to deal damage. The pan is interesting depending on when we see access to the underground, and even if we don't see it as the first thing, we'll see if people try to avoid Fabul to do it all in one go. And that is really fast that Kemps went through there. But is he cave for it? Oh, unlock the pass door. Ooh, pass
looks
required.
Like we're going to Cave Bahamut too. We'll see if there's any. Well, there is value in Cave Bahamut today because it's a required place.
Also a required mount ordeal, so does that mean we're definitely not seeing Cecil in this scene?
Oh, definitely. And if we do, he's definitely not finding a crystal sword.
Get some divergence right away. Lofoz going right up to Damsian, whereas we see the Mist Dragon, and that's our duplicate Forum right there in Baron Inn over on Kemp's screen.
So that's an awful tempting early play, that Mist Dragon giving us an extra key item if we go and visit Rydia's mom.
And Lofoz also deciding to go ahead and unlock the hovercraft right away. Now, none of the key objectives that we've gotten this require the hovercraft. Oh, no, my mistake. PCL does require turning it in. So I think that's good. While you're in the neighborhood, might as well go ahead and launch it. If there wasn't an objective that does require it, I know some runners like to avoid going through that if it's possible to do so.
And it's interesting to see that we don't have any boss hunts and we don't have any character hunts. So those character slots and those boss slots are not going to really factor into routing tonight.
And really, we only have a few key items that we actually need. We're going to need the hook. We're going to need the pink tail. We're going to need the pass, which isn't really a key item, but we're going to need it.
It's a pseudo key item.
And we're going to need the darkness crystal. Other than that, everything else is just gravy.
Yep, finding some really good early equipment for Sid in the Troya Castle here. We have an earth hammer, a bandana, and I believe it was samurai. It was one of the samurai equipment, so that's a really good start for our Sid.
And that's a Golbez up on the top of Mount Hobbs. There is a Rosa up there too, so that's a pretty good character. Although it seems like white mages are a bit cheap in this one, because there's a lot of them around.
Well, I feel like I'd rather have too many white mages than not enough.
That's a very good point.
Rosa, of course, both having a higher HP growth than Forum and just a much greater DPS potential.
But the question becomes, like, how much do you value Rosa when you already have a white mage? Is it worth fighting Golbez? And it looks like for Lofoz, it is worth it. So we'll see if Kemps makes that same decision up here on the top of Mount Hobbs.
Yep, because there's no key item up here, so the only reason to come up is for the character.
Firelight, did they get any Star Veils? With this flag set, we have a bit of a starter kit, which does include some Star Veils.
Ooh, and this Golbez not being kind, but Rosa did get the Star Veil up, which will make this fight much more doable. Of course, one quirk of Golbez as a boss is he can get himself to very low HP by reflected spells, but you do have to hit him at least once in order to trigger the script that ends this fight.
Looks like Kemps is also wants Rosa added to his party, so going to go through the Talkie and the Shadow Dragon that Galvez has. Like, I don't think either of the runners think it's tremendously difficult. After all, they do have the Star Veils at their disposal. It's just the time investment to go through it. Looks like Lofoz not checking out the chest on Westbound Hobbs. Not too surprising. We don't have anybody who knows the exit spell yet.
Yeah, that is generally one set of chests. I personally only check if I have exit available in some way. Yep, and to answer some questions in chat, we are currently playing with the starter kit flag on, which means our runners start with a small selection of useful items at the beginning of the game for free.
Yeah, Star Veils, Life Potions, Tents, Cure 2s, all in your inventory to start with.
Okay, so Lofoz is doing a very common early game play of looting Ant Cave, and there is one key item one key item slot in the bottom of the Antlion Cave, and also it just has so many treasure chests that you're bound to pick up one or two useful things.
And even if there's not anything super useful, it's going to be stuff that you can sell so that your early shopping choices are just more open to you. And having all the chests that are available in an easy cave like Antlion makes it a really juicy target early. And it looks like that's where Kemps is heading next as well.
Yep, and the boss down here has very low stats, very low HP, and with the very few exceptions is usually very easy to take out. That was a lot of berries.
Yeah, very much so. And we see Lofoz also reordering the party. Putting Rosa in the middle isn't always the most useful, because if you're going to be taking advantage of her bow and arrows and you use that aim command, that can sometimes overflow her accuracy, and it actually makes attacking with the bow and arrow worse. So if you put her up at the top, you can still take advantage of that added accuracy from her aim command and give somebody else that accuracy boost for the middle row. So I think that's a pretty heads-up play there from Lofoz there.
Mm-hmm. I've gotten burned by that once or twice myself.
And we see Octomam in a neighboring cave tonight. This fight with much lower HP and lower attack stats than its regular spot is going to be pretty easy for the party.
And of course, its biggest gimmick being the more that you hit it, the slower it gets. So that's why, even though those cane whacks from Porum are not doing much damage, they are slowing Octomam down.
And Lofoz takes care of it pretty easily, and we get the Magma Key. So I think that's gonna incentivize an early underground check. Probably get the key item in the Fey March, followed by the Sylph Cave, since we already have that pan, and go ahead and do all of that in one fell swoop. Maybe check the shops under there too, but I think that would be, like, for me, I think that's where I would go immediately next if I was Lofoz.
Yeah, it's always nice when you can do all of Fabul in one fell swoop with checking Sheila 1, Sheila 2, and the Gauntlet spot.
Plus another key item check from the Sylphs down when you hit Yang with the pan. I mean, having Magma Key and pan early like this is just so many checks that you get to make basically for free at the beginning. Looks like he is going to make a pit stop in Baron. Might be trying to... he hasn't done any looting here, but he might end up doing this D-miss check as well. See if he can get through the Baron infights.
Yep, and Kemp's now getting his Magma Key. Oh, Laws he's thinking about it. Oh, and he's gonna do it.
Yeah, this first fight, D-miss should not be too much of a problem. The fact that Sid is one of the characters in the party, I think, gives him a bit of a chance. The second spot isn't super easy, and it is Mom Bomb. I think that's going to be a little bit rough here. As long as we can keep Sid alive, I think we'll do it. I'm not sure if he's found any AoE for the second. He's got a Thor Rage and a Blizzard. I'm not sure if that's going to be quite enough to one-shot all the bombs when they split up, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's 6 bombs is 6 attacks, and it's hard for anyone to survive that. Yeah, that bomb is hitting pretty hard too.
Yeah, this might be one that you have to wait in for a few more levels before you're able to defeat. But we'll see here. Yeah, there's the reset from Lofoz. So that's going to be a little bit of a time loss. And when you're doing these one-on-one fights like this, little time losses like that are the things that you really would try to avoid. Now, on the other hand, had that been a boss that he was able to defeat really without too much of a problem, that might put him quite a bit ahead, since having that extra party member early and getting the experience on the second forum earlier rather than later could really help out as well. So it's a risk, but it didn't pay off this time, but there'll be opportunities to make up time throughout this run.
And Kemps now is heading underground. Much like you said, wouldn't be surprised if we see Land of Summon Monsters and Sylph Cave here. But first, a small stop in Tamara.
Oh, the best town in the game, without a doubt.
And coffins. We have coffins in Tamara. A key item that casts an instant death spell, which can be very useful for grinding.
Yeah, especially when paired up with the...
Oh, run not validated. Our job dwarf remains jobless.
Yeah, that's a rough decision there for Kemps. But the coffins, often when paired up with the Siren item, can make really short work of eggs, even at super low levels, to give a leg up and be able to defeat a lot of the underworld bosses without too much added help after, with both of those items available. Now, we've got the coffins. We'll see if Sirens end up being available in a shop as well.
Both our runners heading underground. Let's see what's in this Summon Monsters Land chest.
Ooh, that tower key is going to be nice. Now we won't have to double dip tower. We don't have to double dip Fabul. We've got some pretty nice key item placement early. Are we sure that Skull Kitty rolled this seed?
Yeah, well, I would hold out because sometimes these early seeds can be deceiving.
Yeah, this is pretty friendly early. We'll see if there's some. We'll see if there's some trolling later on in this one.
Because remember, we still have to find the Darkness Crystal in order to go to Cave Bahamut. We still have to find the hook in order to turn in the pink tail. And we have to find the pink tail in order to turn in the pink tail.
And we need the pass. We can't just walk to Zeramis today because we're not going to get a crystal that way. So we're going to need the pass as well. So
lots of some hourglasses in the dwarf castle shop.
Ooh, that's a pretty nice item. One of the items that are no longer as common as they used to be. Seeing those is going to make some certain fights a lot easier. Some bosses, some grind options, some trap chats, depending on what the runners decide to prioritize.
Well, let's see if we get a job check here.
We got a psych professor.
Awesome.
Okay, Skull Kitty is saying that you don't technically have to fight the Zeramis through the pass, but
why would you go all the way down through the lunar basement if you have a pass on hand?
Yeah, that's basically my thought too.
Maybe if you're there grinding or doing moon bosses already, but even then I think pass might still be faster even in that case.
And as predicted, Kemps is heading over to Sylph Cave next. Gonna go and whack Yang on the head with a pan. Going to get a free key item check from the sylphs, and then it's going to basically have everywhere on the blue planet open that isn't gated behind a key item, but all the underworld, all the overworld at his whim.
And we here at Free Enterprise would like to remind you, please do not hit people in the head with a pan without their express consent.
I'm going to go and say, even with their express consent, don't hit him in the head with a pan. Just don't.
Oh, I totally... Did you catch what the sylphs gave us there? I was totally distracted.
I missed it as well.
Chat says Luca Key.
Another nice piece of information that we can see early in this seed.
So, Kemp's now heading back to Fabul and probably going to try to get this all done in one shot. Get our Fabul Gauntlet boss slots and get both of our gifts from our lovely housewife Sheila.
Are we seeing just more and more people in the chat trying to justify hitting somebody in the head with a pan?
No,
come on, people.
Don't hit people in the head with the pan. It's a bad idea.
Looks like Lofoz does want to take a peek at the bosses down at the bottom of Feymarch. We see Antlion and Vanilla Queen Ashura.
Interesting.
And Baigan as the boss in Fabul. Probably one of the better places to see Baigan. Baigan can be a scary boss in certain spots. This one's going to be a little bit weaker, so probably a relief to see him here rather than like on the moon or something like that.
Yep, and Sid's gonna have the physical attack to get through this wall. Using the earth, or the quake from the earth hammer to take out the arms.
I must have missed where Kemp's picked up that earth hammer, but that's a really nice tool, especially for taking out those arms in one shot. Makes that fight really easy.
I believe that was in Damsian Castle.
Nice. Lofoz should be picking up his Luca key here, and there we go.
And we'll see what the king has for us.
We've got a required amount of deals and a crystal sword, so I'm seeing less and less chance of Cecil.
He's going to be in the giant at this point. Which possibly. We have no reason to go to in this seed because we don't have any mandatory bosses, and we don't have any mandatory characters.
Get a white shirt from Sheila 1, and for Sheila 2, the Legend Sword, which is a key item, but not one of the ones we're looking for. So, Fabul, a little bit of a bust as far as the key item hunt, but if we find a Cecil, then that's going to be ridiculously powerful with that Crystal Sword. So,
yeah, the Crystal Sword, one of the most overpowered Final Fantasy items.
Holy mackerel, it's so strong. Just makes Cecil just light years ahead of everybody else. And let's see where Kemp's heads next. Looks like wants to try the boss in Baron. We know that second boss is Mom Bomb. Kemp's has not checked that yet, so we're going to see how he deals with the news that the second boss is Mom Bomb.
Yep, and that's not too surprising of a play with the 2 key item checks out of here. It's very tempting.
Knowing that the runners have an Earth Hammer available to them, that might make that second part, once the with the mini bombs, a bit easier to handle. But getting to that's going to be the hard part. Now, I did notice that it looks like Kemp's in a shop. I think it was in Toria, but it might have been somewhere else. Found illusions for sale and has a couple in his inventory. That can help with the high physical attack that Mom Bomb has here, should he choose to use them.
Ooh. Yeah, that Mom Bomb does have quite a bit of physical attack.
Yeah, I think as far as all the boss locations that are available to you that aren't gated behind key items at the beginning of the game, this is the highest physical attack. So it can get pretty rough. It is kind of slow, so you've got that going for it, but the problem is going to be how strong those mini bombs hit those first time around.
Mm-hmm. I'm surprised not using the illusions. Oof. And the mages just keep raising them up and they keep falling over.
Yeah, that just goes to show how strong those physical attacks are, where these back row mages are just getting one shot by them every single time, oftentimes when they're even at full HP.
But we are to the explode phase.
Yeah, this gives a little bit of recovery time here. You can heal up. It looks like Kemps is waiting to queue up a Earth Hammer for when the split happens.
Which is a good choice there, I think.
He's able to get it off before they attack. That's pretty good. And at least all the regular bombs go down, so only 3 hits going to come out. I think he's got a very good shot at getting through this.
Me too. Very, very smart to delay on the Earth Hammer there.
And he gets through it clean. Nicely done there from d2kemps.
One of the reasons I love Sid. And a spoon. Well, it has a few uses. It's not the most useless key item, but it is not progress.
And I believe it's the only key item that you can sell.
That's true too. But we do have a demiss check now. We have 1 key item check if we go talk to Rydia's mother.
And we'll see if that's where Kemps is headed next. Not a surprise that it is.
Yep, and it looks like Lofoz is now going to also attempt the Mom Bomb fight for a second time.
Now, in his case, he knows what's coming, so we'll see if he preps a little differently for this.
Kemp's picking up those treasure chests. And what do we get?
It's a sand ruby, so that's going to be an interesting item. I don't think we've seen anybody head over to Kaipo yet, so we don't know who that character is, but it could be nice. I'm sure after finding that crystal sword in Fabul, everybody's going to be hoping for Cecil to be afflicted by desert fever.
Definitely. And fighting the true final boss, item management.
Yeah, it looks like such a big empty block of inventory space when you first start the game, and it fills up real fast.
Mm-hmm. Especially with these the nicer chest randomizations.
And with J items turned on. Without them, then it gets a bit better. Looks like we have a Karate Man, probably the best character in the game, Yang, is the character in the bed.
Well, I think that's objective, but what's not objective is he has the best HP growth of any character, which can make him very useful in the end game. His elemental claws can also be situationally extremely useful.
If you're able to find all 3 claws, he's really useful. Outside of that, it takes a lot of work to get him useful. Lofoz is taking advantage of the hourglasses that we saw for sale earlier but the gray bombs still each got a hit off, and that was enough to take him out. Takes an unfortunate wipe.
Oh, that's just a bummer.
Yeah, he was real close to it. He was trying to use that same strategy that Kemps did, and was able to use the Earth Hammer to take out the regular bombs, but those gray bombs were able to get their hit in. So that was a bit unfortunate. Hopefully he'll be able to do a little bit better a second time around here.
Kemps here just seems to be doing a little bit of shopping.
Might be looking for those elemental claws that we mentioned just a moment ago.
That would not be too surprising.
Outside of the elemental claws, we're going to be looking for Yang. Anything that can be used to increase his strength or agility. Things like bandanas, black belt gis, strength rings. Those are the sort of things that can really help Yang's damage output.
Yeah, Zeus gauntlets.
Yeah, since he doesn't have access to a lot of like attack power from his weapons, since with those claws, he really needs the boost from his strength. The multipliers that he gets from there more than a lot of the other characters do. They're good for everybody. Everybody likes having attack multipliers, but it's even more important for somebody like Yang.
And Kemp's deciding since Ordeals is required, might as well do it now.
And since we didn't see sirens for sale, this is going to be a nice little boost in experience with the first two bosses here. So hopefully after this, we'll be able to handle something like Dwarf Castle. And we're going to take a peek at our first boss up on Mount Ordeals. And it looks like we've got, I'm not sure if that's Rubicon or Elements, but we'll find it just a minute.
I don't think you can tell from the overworld.
We do have the Fiend of Fire himself, Rubicon.
And Lofoz having a much better time on this Mom Bomb fight this go around.
Able to queue up a few Thor Rages to help with the regular bombs, and then the Earth Hammer to take out the Greys, and he is through, so that's very good. Nicely done with Lofoz, changing up the strategy just a little bit, and it works.
And I wouldn't be surprised if we see him follow suit and also head up Mount Ordeals. But maybe not. We do have the entire underworld open to us right now.
I don't think it would be too shocking if you tried something like Tower at this point, with 2 key item checkers there. And even though the boss at the top of the tower has pretty good HP, its stats aren't too amazing. It's something that you could take down. Though I think with the requirement of Mount Ordeals, I think it just makes sense to go there. Lofoz decided to go to Kaipo for the shopping first, before checking Mist Village. When he finds that Sand Rupee there, it's just gonna be, I should have just gone backwards.
Yeah, you hate when that happens.
Kemp's just about ready to show us that second boss up at the top of Mount Ordeals. Taking a quick heal and save beforehand.
This, of course, being one of the few back attack bosses in the game. Ooh, Ogo Pogo. And this is going to be hard because this spot is fast and you don't get many turns at the beginning because it's a back attack.
This is where having 3 white mages is actually going to be very helpful.
Yep.
You're going to want to heal a lot to make sure that those big waves don't just destroy you.
This is also where you wish you had those thunder claws on Yan. A disproportionate number of bosses in this game are actually weak to thunder.
Kemps used a Zeus Rage. Unfortunately, if you use magic on Rubicant, even if it's an item that uses magic, counters with that weak spell, and that puts Sid on the ground, which is a bit unfortunate because Sid is going to be one of the major damage dealers in this fight. Luckily able to recover, get a bit of healing up with those white mages.
Yep, the keeping your HP up is not going to be the difficult part of this fight. It's just going to be that slow, steady DPS. There's not going to be a quick kill here.
And Mecha in the chat correcting me. Since it was a lit spell that Zeus Rage does, that's the weak. If it was another magic, then it would be flare or fire. Luckily, it looks like the twin magic avoids that, so able to get through some extra damage from those twins with that twin magic there.
And Lofoz now heading up Mount Ordeals and will probably be dealing with Ogopogo very shortly. Well, at least those physical attacks aren't doing anything too much.
Not to the back row, but they were doing pretty good damage to Yang because he does not have very good defensive equipment right at the start. And able to take down this Nope Rope, the Canadian destroyer. Unfortunately, no experience for Yang on that fight, but 4,000 experience for everybody else is going to be a nice little boost there.
Lamented Linguini. Oh, chat, you're great sometimes. Splashy string. Pasta's done. Y'all are great. And this boss spot has very low HP, very low stats, but, you know, you could still get surprised by a wyvern.
We see a package as the key item. I wouldn't be surprised if nobody checks it, but we'll see. We've got a karate man up here.
I think at this point, the only person you would take a package for is probably Cecil, because you have that crystal sword ready to go. And after this, you'll be done with Mount Ordeals, so he'll be a paladin.
And while Lofoz is completing the fights we just saw Kemps go through, and Kemps is going to be walking down the mountain, I want to take just a moment to thank our Restream team tonight. We've got Ike here doing the tracking and Scala Kitty on the Restream. Without them, there wouldn't be a show tonight, so big ups to them. Also want to thank the administration of the Free Enterprise community for putting on this entire event, and the Randomania Network, who are we're very happy to have host our event tonight.
Okay, so our first objective of the seed is completed. Kemps completes objective number 1.
Scala Kitty in the chat pointing out Randomania hosts our overlays. We've always had a pretty nice partnership with the Randomania Network. Free Enterprise has, so very nice all around, and glad that we can showcase this event on their network tonight as well.
And can I just say that I love the Fabul Gauntlet overlay? I think it's really neat. It's both informative, pretty, and functional.
We got a little bit more shopping. d2kemps heading up to Silveria. There's a few chests in here and some shops. It's a little bit out of the way. There's a dwarf axe. That's a pretty useful item all together, but it's pretty expensive as well. d2kemps does not want to shell out the money for that at this point, but might be one that you want to just remember where it is just in case you need it later.
Yep, it's extremely useful for back row glitching characters that otherwise could not be back row glitched.
Now Lofoz is taking on that Ogopogo in the Milan Z vanilla spot. Let's see how he is able to handle this. d2kemps, it looks like, is going to go back to Mist. Once you get a peek at that character, turns out it is Rydia. And there's the reset. Don't want to go through that long cutscene for Rydia at this point.
No, Cecil would probably be worth it, maybe Fusoya, but sorry, Rydia, you just have really bad HP growth.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think those are the only two characters that I think at this point in the seed would be worth it going through there. If it was a little bit earlier in the seed and it was Edge, I might give it to him too, but yeah, at this point, I think you're pretty happy with what you've got just in general and are desperate like for a black mage like Rydia.
And Lofoz struggling a bit on this Leviathan, this Ogopogo fight.
Yeah, I mean, it's a purpler Leviathan or redder Leviathan. Able to get through it.
Ooh, that was close.
Yeah, it was a bit close, but able to get through it, and that's the important thing. So GG's there to Lofoz.
On the other hand, let's see who's in Dwarf Castle.
We have Odin in the first spot, and d2kemps is like, nope, not ready for this. Just not going to happen.
Once again, another boss where it's really great if you have those thunder claws for Jan.
Oh yeah, that would be a big help. Decides to head up to tower instead. The boss up there is going to have more HP than that Odin spot, but is probably going to punch less hard than Odin will. So can totally understand making this choice at this point, especially since you've got access to that tower key as well. So you can hopefully be able to take out both of these checks in one go.
Yep. So do you like doing the top of the tower first and then coming back for the key room? Or do you like the other way around?
I like doing the top first because in general, the boss at the top is harder. So if I'm going to be using any resources, I want to make sure I've got everything available at the one at the top. And then if I am able to defeat it without losing too much, then I don't feel like I need to heal and go back to the save point before doing the middle room. But especially when your characters are low level like this, like that little bit of damage that Dark Elf is doing might be worth it so that you have to do another tent in the middle here. And I'd rather just heal once before and hope to avoid it on the way down.
Yeah, I will do this room first if I feel like I'm a little low on experience, and sometimes you don't get much experience here, but a lot of times it is enough to boost you up a level.
I think that's a good call too. I think that's totally a reasonable way of looking at it as well. Especially if this gets you to that all-important burst level, and it looks like that did for one of the portals. So
yeah.
So that might be the right play there for Kemps.
Yeah, that's a situation where I think it was better to do the room first.
Mr. Bus Driver asking, is the King and Queen still free at Ashura? I would say so, yeah. But the boss in there was vanilla Ashura, so...
Lofoz also surprisingly noping out of Rydia. To steal a joke from Mecha Linka chat, getting rid of ya.
Oh, That's a bit rough there. We see some dark imps in the Dr. Luge spot up at the top. We'll see if Kemps had bought either the coffins or the hourglasses. Both of them highly effective against the dark imps.
Yep, the imps just do physical attacks and are weak to a lot of things. Instant death being the easiest, and stop being very short after that. Does have one coffin, but they're also not immune to things like toad or size as well.
Those would be some options. I think looking to use Medusa arrows here, that's an interesting choice that could also work. They're hitting harder than I thought they would here, but that's going to be tough.
They have surprisingly high physical attack. They're one of those surprise bosses. You think, oh, this is going to be free, but then you're like, oh no, they're stabbing me pretty bad with those tiny little knives.
Looks like Kemps decides to leave the tower rather than try him again. One other option is if you have a white mage in the middle and you have cast hold, that might work as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I also think they were on the right track with the Medusa arrows there. The Darkins are also vulnerable to stone. Yeah, I don't know if I agree with this move, but you never know, it might pay off.
It might be that he saw the hourglasses for sale, didn't buy them, and now is like, hey, I could use them here, so he's leaving to get them. That's a possibility. Lofoz getting the wrath of the Zantetsuken attack.
Giant sword directly to the face.
Odin applied directly to the forehead.
But we do get the Earth Crystal, which is interesting.
Looks like Kemps might be wanting to buy a few more of those coffins and use them for the strategy in the Dark Imps. That makes sense too.
And it might just be faster doing that instead of, you know... I sometimes you get that tunnel vision and you try to do a fight even though it would be faster just to go get some items first.
That is probably my biggest weakness as a runner. Like, I know I can do it, so I just got to try it again. Hopefully, Lofoz will have a better shot at this than I do when I have tunnel vision, because it usually takes me about 3 or 4 times.
Yep, and looks like that's exactly what Kemps is doing. Is buying those coffins, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him head right back up the tower.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I mean, it is a bit of a time loss to walk up and down the tower again. Kind of erases the need, like the tower keys saying that you don't have to double dip the tower, kind of erases that. But you've got, your choices are to do kind of what Lofoz is doing and just go right back into the boss that just killed you again. Or you know that there's an item there that can really help you in the fight, so I could just go out there and come back. If he ends up trying and wiping a second time, then this might be the way that's going to save him some time overall. That was a bit wordy, but I think you get what I mean.
Yeah. Because we've completely cleared out the overworld, excluding the Earth Crystal we just got. So underground is where it's at right now.
And since we haven't found any sirens for sale in any of the underground shops, we don't have a way to just like up your levels to underground quality at a real fast rate.
We do have the Luca key, so we could do a door grind, but that does take a little longer time, and you still have to have a way to kill the door before it kills you.
Yeah, that would be
sword right to the face.
That would be a pretty rough grind at these low levels, a door grind. Yeah, I don't know if that would be an advised way to go, but we'll see if anybody makes that decision anytime soon.
Lofoz giving up on that Odin fight and coming to join Kemps up at the top of the tower.
Dia, yeah, using a bunch of star veils would be a way to do it. That's a very expensive grind at that point.
And I think with the extra coffins, this fight is going to go a lot better for Kemps this time. And the experience here will be good too.
Yeah, this should help out if they decide to go to back to Dwarf Castle after this and try on Odin again.
Exactly.
More Berserk and Blink spells all around really help against the physical bosses, so some good levels here.
And now everyone knows Blink.
Ooh, but that's huge. That's the Darkness Crystal.
Ooh. So now we have the whole world in our hands. Or the whole other world. But not the world that's underground, the one that's above. The sky underground. The underground that's in the sky. Okay, I'll stop now.
I don't even know where you were going. But we also got the objective for completing the tower. So that's a nice thing. And we've got that Bahamut Cave open at this point as well. We've got another shop that could possibly have star veils or some other useful items available to us. We've got a character check on the moon and a couple more grinds that are open to us now that we've got access to the Darkness Crystal. So this is a huge find in a required spot. So there's been some kind of tough bosses, but the key items are very generous to us today.
And of course, we're really hoping to see Cecil up on that moon. We got a crystal sword with his name on it.
Of course, that would be the dream, but, you know, ever since those objectives were announced, we thought that there's no chance of seeing Cecil, so...
No, he's definitely in the giant that we don't need to go to, I agree.
Unless the runners decide to do a Mac Giant grind. That might be dependent on finding that Thunderclaw, though.
d2kemps still not taking on that Odin. Despite the extra levels and many more blinks.
Yeah, might be curious with that Darkness Crystal to see what's available on the moon at this point.
Yep, looks like it's heading that way. Now, I do believe that Lofoz had hourglasses, so hopefully they have more luck on this Dark Imp fight than d2kemps did. Yeah, and noted in chat, we haven't seen too many of the free bosses yet, so the moon might be pretty easy.
And Lofoz able to survive the first wave of attacks, got past it, they got the hourglass up, and from now on the Dark Imps are not going to be much of a problem. We'll decide if looks like he's going to use the coffins. We'll see if he decides to life glitch these, and looks like he is, so he's going to get some bonus experience out of this as well. And it looks like d2kemps heading straight to the Lunar Palace to start with. Wants to get the character check, and then we'll see what he decides to look at next. Still have several key items that we're looking for, though.
Yep, we still need the pink tail, the hook, so we can turn in the pink tail and the pass.
Ooh, Tella. Old Man Tella is a very interesting choice. Tella's going to open up the vaunted D-Machine grind on the Giant of Babel. And so looks like Kemps definitely wants that. Decides to ditch one of his Porums and is going to go for Tella. So that might mean a D-Machine grind income.
Tella also a very good agility anchor.
Yeah, there's a lot of uses for Tella. He also can, especially, I think we saw Soma drops available. You could give him one Soma drop and he can cast Meteor as well, which is not bad, really.
Our runners following very similar paths tonight, but unfortunately Lofoz just having a little bit of trouble with a couple of bosses and is just slightly behind.
Was able to catch up sometime on that Imp boss though, because he got through that a bit easier than Kemps did. So some of the times that he banged against Odin and Mom Bomb was recovered because Kemps had to make the extra trip up and down. So not that far behind at this point. It's anybody's race for sure. We did see that there were Bacchus wines for sale up on the Hummingway abode, so that's a huge item.
Free Enterprise encourages you to use your Bacchus wines responsibly.
Yeah, which is any time that you get angry and want to beat somebody up. But only Bacchus brand wines. I don't condone any other beverage in that situation.
Kemps here just gearing up, rearranging some items, managing that inventory, and see if they go to the Bahamut Cave is required. So we'll see if he goes there next or if he decides to do some lunar bosses and hunt for those items we need.
Looks
or
like
he could grind on the hair dryers.
Yeah, we're gonna get a hair dryer grind. This is a nice little experience boost.
And sometimes you get a nice item out of it too.
Yeah, that's definitely a possibility out of the trap chest. And Kemps definitely has those hourglasses in his inventory. We saw that right before doing the fight, right before buying the Bacchuses. And we also see that Thunderclaw right next to the hair dryer too. So that's
useful
a big one
if
too.
we go back and take on that Odin.
Papita 69 might as well do value since that's going to depend on the boss. That is not an easy boss spot, especially for physical attacks. So if it's somebody who's really cheesable, then yeah, go ahead and take care of it right now. But if it's tough, you might need to do some significant grinding before you're able to beat that.
Yep, but we still have King and Queen Evelyn available and the Water Hag, both of which are very doable in that spot.
I think the Kaipo guard fight is available too. That would also be relatively easy. Yeah, I think good point by Dio. Water Hag is scary there. It's fast and hits hard. You only have to hit it 3 times, but sometimes even getting to 3 is tough.
Mm-hmm. That's when you start back rowing characters with armor on them.
Another good point by Night Dude. This hairdryer might give him enough, still depending on what boss it is, to do that fight in Bahamut. But it looks like Lofoz is going to at least get the information as to what boss it is right away.
Yep, it's required, so it's good to know what you're up against. Oh, no. That's not going to be a fun one.
Yeah.
It's Kanazo.
Yeah, that's going to require a bit.
Woo, we're going to want to come back there with some more levels, I think.
I believe there were 4 rages for sale in the Hummingway abode, so that's going to help out for that fight, but it's going to require some setup.
I told you to wait for the trolling. See, it is, in the end, it is a Scala Kitty classic.
Yeah, I guess that's something. I'll definitely give you that.
So I wouldn't be surprised here if Kemps goes and gets the bad Bahamut news.
This is also going to be interesting to see how early people think that they might have a chance at this fight. So we'll see if Kemps is feeling pretty good after that hairdryer grind to give this a shot.
What's really unfortunate is the spot is fast, too. And a fast Kanazo is not a fun Kanazo. It also just has a ton of HP. Nope, nope. Kemps is right out of there. So it looks like Lofoz is going to check on that Earth Crystal. Not a bad idea. We might actually find our Cecil there. And it is also another key item slot, and we are still looking for a lot of key items. At least 3 more key items. The pink tail, the hook, and the pass are all required. And we will see if Kemps follows suit. Yep, it looks like Kemps is going to follow suit here. So we are going to have... So this race is actually pretty close. Kemps definitely has more levels right now because of that mini grind. But as far as routing and number of places checked, it's pretty even. To answer the question in chat, Rydia was at the package. Both our players noped out of that. And Yang was at the Sand Ruby. And both players took Yang up on the job application there. And we have Evil Wall. This shouldn't be too bad of a fight. No, those physical attacks are hurting, and wasn't quite prepared there, so we'll probably take another shot at it. Yep, had not healed up yet.
Doing a little bit of rearranging of the party, too, to try to be in a more advantageous position for this fight, it looks like.
Yep, and d2kemps is right behind him. Yes, this is a reminder to always heal before bosses. I've been burned on that multiple times myself.
Well, I think it's an interesting balancing act between when you're going to save enough time and can still take out a boss. Like, it's another one of those risk-reward things. If you're going to use a tent or a cabin, that's the more time to use that throughout the course of the seed, that's just more time adding up. If you can cut those out and still take care of the bosses, that's a way to really save time throughout the course of a run. It is a risk, though. If you do it at the wrong time, then that could cause a wipe too.
Well, look at how close it is right now. Other than a couple levels that Kemps has over Lofoz, we are pretty much even right now, both on the same boss at the same time.
Yeah, that is fascinating. It really is that hairdryer's chest that really made the difference here, right?
Mm-hmm. That's really the only difference between our runners. They've mostly checked the same spots. They mostly have the same knowledge.
Right. I think it might have only been Lofoz who checked the bosses down at Tamar, or I might have just missed Kemps too. Kemps checking that.
No, I think you're correct.
It might be that they didn't want to do there because didn't bother checking because there's no boss hunts in this particular run, though they are potential key items. So you might end up having to face those anyways.
Yep, and we've seen none of the 3 key items we need.
Well,
that's not technically true because we did also need Darkness Crystal to get to Cave Bahamut.
And the pass isn't really a key item.
And Kemps with those extra levels getting through Evil Wall just slightly before Lofoz.
You see, here's Kemps going right past, right into the door, no save, no heal before going into the next room. We see a blue hooded figure, and we haven't seen either the Water Hag or the Fabul Gauntlet at this point. Is that correct?
I believe that is correct.
So if you're able to beat Odin, you might have the Water Hag, you might have the Fabul Gauntlet, and those are at opposite ends of the spectrum in how long those bosses are.
That's true, and we also have Alt Gauntlet flag on, so that Gauntlet will pull monsters from the surrounding area.
My favorite flag. And we have Kane and Palom, it looks like, as the 2 characters up here at the top of the tower. So that could shake up parties pretty big. Looks like we have
leaving
Kane
behind Palom.
Yeah, taking Kane, but not saying no to Palom. And I kind of understand that. We'll see what Lofoz decides to choose. Looks like he also wants Kane.
And getting rid of Porum's not too big of a surprise. We have Rosa. And as much as I love Porum, Rosa is superior white mage.
I think, especially considering we're just about to complete Zot, that's the last real advantage that Porum has over Rosa, is the exit spell. And you complete Zot and Rosa learns exit. Looks like neither of them took Palom. One of these things... Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to say, I think it's just one of the priorities of getting black magic has been getting lower and lower, I think, in the overall metagame of Free Enterprise. We're seeing less black mage strats for the Zeramis fight, and I think that's kind of the final decision maker with leaving Palom behind.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, Tella's in our party right now mostly as a agility anchor and a source of easy grinds.
Right. There could definitely, depending on how soon they start finding these key items, they might want to go and do that D-machine grind at some point.
And also, focusing on physical fighters makes a lot of sense since we know we have a source of Bacchus wines, too.
That's another factor, too. That's why I'm not surprised Kane's the one they decide to keep over Palom. I think if it was just Palom and you didn't have an option, I think there's an argument for taking Palom over Porum, but I think there's also an argument for keeping the 2 white mages. So I think that would have been a little bit more of an interesting choice.
And we have the wrong tail.
The wrong tail, yeah.
So we need a pink tail and we have a rat tail. But the rat tail, of course, could have an item chain that eventually leads to the pink tail.
That's a possibility. We'll find out once we find the hook. Looks like Kemps is ready to take that grind on, and he's going to the Giant of Babel. Whereas Lofoz wants revenge against Odin, I think.
I don't blame either, honestly. And we do... never mind. I was going to say something that I realized was not true, so...
Oh, don't worry. I do that all the time.
At least I caught myself this time.
I usually rely on the chat to correct me.
They're a good chat. Seriously, I just want to shout out the Free Enterprise community. It's been one of the most opening, welcoming, accepting communities I've ever been in on the internet. I've had some very bad experiences with online communities, and y'all are just great.
Yeah, it's great because it's not only is it welcoming, as you say, it's also within that it's still a lot of fun. And I think the fact that both of those exist simultaneously just makes it even better. So now we're going to see Kemp setting up this D machine grind, turning on the random encounters. Going to do a reset here after right after the save, and then going to be looking for a specific fight. The fight that we're looking for is going to be a searcher and two beamers, and a specific after a specific number of steps. And so even though we got that fight, because of the step routing, Kemps knows that that was not the fight that we're looking for. So going into the next room, going to be looking for that searcher beamer, and we'll see once he starts fighting those beamers, then we're in the fight that he wants.
Yep. The other one I believe is one of those centaur enemies, and not the D machine you're looking for. Which we find a D machine, but that's not the respawnable D machine.
Right. We're looking for a searcher that's gonna, every time you punch it, summon a D machine that you can use the weak spell from Tella to bring it to single digit and kill it in one shot, hopefully with one or two life potions being thrown at it afterwards for even extra.
And very important, Lofoz is through the Odin fight, and we have water hags, so this should be a pretty easy fight here.
Yeah, that's going to be easier and safer than the Fabul Gauntlet in this fight, without a doubt. And we saw Edward as the character, and Lofoz says, nah, I don't want it.
Yeah, the D-Machine grind is still something I'm learning personally. I've done it successfully a few times, but I'm still very inconsistent on it.
I think with the setup Kemps has, I'm not sure what equipment he has for Tella at this point. I haven't been paying attention to a lot of that. But having Tella outside of the middle position can sometimes be risky because Tella's stats are not very good, and Weak does have a possibility of missing. Hopefully that won't happen to him in this fight, and hopefully he's got some good equipment, and that just boosts the accuracy. But we'll see, because if we miss a Weak, the D-Machine's fire attack is no joke.
Yeah. Okay, let's see what Luca is wearing around her neck tonight.
The pass, that's huge.
Woo! That is one of our required items. That is objective number 5. As soon as we hand that pass over, we will complete that objective. But there's really no reason to do that now until we get our other objectives complete. Because going straight from Troya to Zeromus is going to be the way to go.
Here's another thing for oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
One interesting thing for Lofoz, heading to the Sealed Cave right now, he's at over 10 key items. If he wants, he could start grinding doors in here as his grind while going through this. It doesn't look like that's what he's doing at this point, but that was something that would be on the table for him at this point.
Definitely.
I'll also point out one interesting choice that Kemps is making is when he's hitting the Searcher, he's hitting it with his stronger characters like Sid, who has that Earth Hammer, which does tons of damage to the Searcher. Might be trying to set it up so that he doesn't need to use one of the weak casts from Tella to take out the Searcher. I don't know what he's got for MP restoratives in his inventory. It looks like he's relying on Psych on Rosa to restore Tella's MP at this point, so he might be trying to hedge and, well, or he just kills the Searcher right now. Does get 547,000 experience points, though, and that's a huge slingshot for Kane.
Yep. The hammer class weapons being strong against machine types, both of which the D Machine and the Searcher are. Oh, and I missed.
It was a crystal ring down at the bottom. So no key items. He resets out. That's the advantage of not relying on the doors there, is that if it's not a good item, you could just reset out of it. So I can't... I think that's probably a smart decision, especially since the D Machine grind is available, and it looks like that's where Lofoz is heading anyways.
Yep, double D Machine grind today. And it looks like Kemps is pretty happy with his levels right now and is exiting out of the giant. I wouldn't be surprised to see some moon diving pretty soon.
Yeah, that's one option. Doing the bosses at the bottom of Paymarch is another option at this point. Moon makes sense.
Because you're in the whale anyway.
Right. We'll see if Kemps decides to head over to... Looks like he's going to try to fight that Kinazo first.
Ooh, this is still... Even with the levels he has, I still feel like this is going to be a ouchy fight. Luckily, he does have the Thunderclaw on Yang. That's going to help a bunch.
If he has... I haven't seen it, but if he's got an Ice Claw too, then no matter when he hits Kinazo, it'll hit a weakness.
That's a very good point.
Mr. Bus Driver, would d2kemps full clear the moon looking for both the hook and pass? I'm not sure. That's definitely something... I imagine that at this point with the hook, the pink tail, and the pass all required, that a full clear moon is probably on the table for Kemps at this point, since we know he's not going to find all three of them on the moon, but he's definitely got the levels to take out all the lunar bosses at this point.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a full moon clear here. And with as few key items as we got on the Earth, I wouldn't be surprised if something necessary is up here. And ooh, that physical attack. This is one mean turtle.
Yeah, the physical attacks here are no joke. Unfortunately, that Cure 3 not going to hit Keen because he's in the air. But I think this Kinazo is going to get at least one wave up here. This is going to be the moment of truth, how much it deals.
Ooh.
That is huge amount of damage.
Survivable, though.
Yeah, Tella was definitely not long for this world, but the problem is Tella was his only source of lit magic.
And a lit magic a day keeps the wave away.
Exactly. If he's got the Thor rages or Zeus rages in his inventory, he can use them to scare Kinazo and bring down the water, but I'm not sure if he's got those in his inventory.
The other option's just trying to tank it and have Rosa heal, but he's pretty fast. If he gets two of these off in a row, it's gonna hurt.
The nice thing, however, is as like Yan used Abacus here, and if the more damage that Kinazo takes, then the less damage the wave output will do. So I kind of like the strategy of berserking up the two fighters and then just healing up afterwards. Looks like he's gonna risk trying to resurrect Kane and then have three berserkers available.
Yeah, almost treating this like a Zeromus fight.
In a sense, using a similar strategy without a doubt. Yeah, this might be a sneak peek of the strategy we see on Zeromus. Treat the waves as though they're big bangs. Yeah.
That's pretty much what Kemps is doing this right now, is treating it exactly like a Zeromus fight. Slowing, focusing up his physical characters and just using Rosa to heal.
And
Yep,
after
and those
after the D machine grind, having all of these characters have enough HP to survive at least one wave, he's basically got this free from now on. The only thing is if Rosa runs out of MP, but she's got a pretty good pool at this point. Hopefully, once we get to the point where he's hiding in the shell, then we're 100% of the clear. The Berserker should be able to take it from there.
Yep, and each wave hurting a little bit less than the last. I'm pretty sure he has this.
Yeah, this is very smartly played by Kemps, I must say.
Yeah, I'm super impressed.
And we're hiding in the shell. Yeah, there we are. That's the rocks falling equivalent of this, if we're talking Zero's.
That's why I love watching Free Enterprise as a viewer. Do so many different interesting strategies and things applied to other things, and it's endlessly fascinating to me to watch just as a viewer.
Yeah, it's really fun. And we get a power robe. It's a nice item, especially for somebody like Yang who can use the strength boost. But more importantly, we get objective number 4 completed for Kemps. So that is huge. Now he just needs the hook and the pink tail, and he's going to have to complete Mount or Dwarf Castle, which is where we know the pass is.
Yep. And of course, Lofoz just grinding away on those D machines.
And it looks like the next stop for Kemps is going to be the Lunar Subterrane. 5 boss locations there, 5 potential key item spots. We're going to see if we get Rabbit Hold or if both the hook and the pink tail are available in here. Get
So
Gooped,
what do you think? The top to bottom or bottom to top?
You know, if I think in this situation, I like the bottom to top.
Yeah, me too.
There are situations where I go top to bottom, but I don't think this is one.
Yeah, the top to bottom's usually when you need that one key item, but we need 3 key items right now.
Well, I also like top.
2. We know where the pass is.
Right. If I like going top to bottom if I'm at like 9 key items, and I'm hoping for the pale dim spot to give me the 10th key item. Like basically I'm looking to get the 10th key item before I do the Lunar D spot, because that's the huge experience and I want to get the bonus on that.
But
so that's
we're
one of
going
the
top bottom today. Let's
we
see
got
what we find.
Dr. Luge. This is one of the, I think, one of the easier bosses to find on the moon. You get some free time at the beginning while they talk and Balnat punches the good doctor before Balnat starts actually punching you. So it's kind of a nice little fight here, and halfway through you get the real fight, and that's not very tough either.
No, especially since he wastes turns poisoning you and then unpoisoning.
Yeah, the unpoisoning part is always the good one. Like, yeah, you really don't really know how to fight, do you, Dr. Luge? It's a good. No. You should probably stick to the science and not to the fighting.
Definitely.
Yes, Hello Kitty. He is sciencing! Lofoz looks like he's just about done with that D machine, using the weak on the Searcher, which indicates that this fight is drawing to an end. Searcher goes down, and we'll see what the rewards are. Wait, that might have been 1 million experience points there.
I think it was 20 levels. Not bad.
Lord Goober, what is Luge a spark? No, he's not a spark, but we don't actually see the sprites of the lunar bosses, so you don't get to see the little scientist sprite that we would normally see. Yeah, Lofoz getting plenty of experience in that one fight.
Yep. I wonder if Lofoz will go back to Kanazo first, or if they're gonna do the moon. We will see shortly.
Oh, sorry, Lord Goober. I missed your reference. Thought it was a free Enterprise reference. Thought it was the lunar sparkles that you're talking about.
And the good doctor is dead.
We get a
just a Stardust Rod, which, considering we're not doing a very Black Mage heavy strategy right now, is not going to be terribly useful.
Well, it does give something that Tella can do in fight without having to use MP, but that still isn't all that much.
It is, if you are rocking a Palom, it is good just for the stat boost, but we're doing physical attackers today. Oh no, the poison. Oh, the poison.
I thought he was going to heal up in the big whale when he used exit.
Oh, I'm going to look at Lofoz's side of the screen for a little bit.
Don't worry, I'll keep you up to date on what Kemps is. See if Kemps decides to go to the Wyvern or all the way down to the bottom of the lunar subterranean neck.
Actually, one of the nice features of Free Enterprise that I use is you can turn off the full screen effects if you're a little bit photosensitive like I am.
Well, the sound is not as bad as the final. The sound isn't quite as bad as the Final Fantasy I poison sound, but it's still pretty rough. Looks like Lofoz kind of following suit with Kemps, heading over to the Kanazo fight now after the grind. It looks like he's pulling up Thor Rages, so it looks like he's going to take a slightly different strategy. He's going to be planning to break the wave rather than just tanking it and zerking through it. So it's going to be a different strategy we see here, it looks like.
Yeah, it is always nice when you can get the blue turtle in that nice cycle of where he's getting scared and then waving back up and then getting scared and not doing much else.
And there's a cabin. Everybody's safe now.
Oh,
no more poison vision.
Whew, okay, I can look at the other side of the screen now.
And heading right to the D machine room, and we'll see who the boss is here. Oh, a free fight in the D machine or the D Lunar's room.
Yep, just stretch, lay back, put down your controller, get a nice drink of water. Especially in this spot, sometimes if King and Queen Evelyn are in lower spots, it's just faster to finish them off.
Yeah, this one.
But this one, nope, this is rest time. This is a nice break time in the seed.
And now they became conscious.
No, Shala, I'm not watching Kemp's stream. It's just what I do when I find Queen Evelyn. That's my take a stretch and drink time.
Why aren't they killing Tella? I'm not sure 100%, but having the fact that they got their levels on Tella during the D Machine grind might mean that they're gonna swap them out at some point anyways for the anchor. So whether or not he gets experience here isn't really relevant.
And we did find a harp there, so maybe we'll get music. I've been kind of cursed lately. Whenever I've been doing commentary, there's been no music.
And we see Wyvern in the plague spot. Took out a couple of Kemp's characters, but some of them able to tank it, so That's the power of grinding.
Mm-hmm. That Yang doing pretty good damage too. Yang is one of those characters that's not terribly useful early or mid-game, but he is super useful endgame.
Yeah, and for as much as of the crap I give Yang, when we get to the end game, I always admit he's very, very powerful at the end game. Lofoz able to defeat Kainazo, gets the power shirt and the objective completion. Now, Lofoz, even though Kemps has taken on a few extra bosses in the Lunar Subterranean so far, if he's able to find that pink tail and hook before Kemps does, remember, Lofoz has the pass already. We're not sure once Kemps returns to the Blue Planet, how soon it's going to be before he checks out Dwarf Castle.
That is very true. That's something I didn't think of, but you're totally right on that. This Wyvern fight, it's rough. I don't think it's impossible, but it's... Oh, and there it is. There's the reset. We'll see if Kemps goes right back to that, or if they try another fight first.
Heads right back to that spot. Gets one Star Veil up. And that's it before the Mega Nuke. I believe that's what happened the last time around as well. But everybody but Tella lived, which means that life potion that's hit throughout is a bit preemptive, but...
Oh, and chat's saying he didn't save in between Wyvern and the last boss. That would be a bummer if that were true. I didn't notice because my eyes are still recovering from the poison screen.
And I didn't notice because it's hard to pay attention to both streams at once. And I'll just admit that. I've done a couple of the four-way races, and this is much easier than that. But that's why we have chat, to notice what we cannot notice. So now, with that wipe from Kemps, and Lofoz heading all the way down to the bottom and skipping that pale dim spot first, if Chad is correct and there wasn't a save after that, we're basically in the same spot for Lofoz. Lofoz may have made up ground because he's got that pass, and he might have just gotten past Kemps and taken the lead.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
Now Lofoz gets to take a drink.
Yep, stretch, shake out those legs. If you really need to go to the bathroom and have a bathroom nearby, mute your mic, try to get that done.
And the second try, Kemp's able to take down the Wyvern.
Yeah, that fight's a lot easier if you know it's coming going into it.
Gets a defense sword. That's going to be a nice weapon for Kane at this point.
But it is not progress.
It is not progress.
Yeah, Kemps just wants another drink.
The main issue now for Kemps is going to be if that Twin Harp is required, he probably won't remember until he's actually at the bottom of Cave Magnus. We do see the D-Lunars in the Ogopogo spot. This is not a super friendly spot to see this fight.
No, this spot has really high damage stats. It can hurt pretty bad.
And this is one of those fights where if you don't have a black mage, it could really be tough because the physical attack, and you see there's the wall, and they're going to start their virus script at this point, which I think is usually considered a bit more dangerous than their regular script.
Yep, there are ways around that though. With our Rose cast Cure 4, that because they are, well, not after the walls, but before the walls, because as undeads, they are allergic to healing magic.
That was almost a 6,000 point virus that they hit Yang with.
Ouch. Oh. Yeah, I think this is one where you're just going to want to use anything that heals. You're going to want to use Rosa for the Cure 4s. If you have any Cure 3s, you want to start just slinging those at them.
Or just try to tank as much damage as you can, since you're at a high level, and get the Star Veils up and try to go for Lunar Frogs might be the way to go as well.
Yeah, Lunar Frogs might also be the way to go here. I agree.
Get-Coop, is jump and power considered not regular attacks to bypass virus? That is correct. If you want to use just jump and power from Yang and Kane in that fight, that would definitely be a way to get around that. You'd rather, if you're depending on them for damage, Berserk is going to be faster, but that would definitely be safer in this fight.
I actually think the D-Lunars are my favorite boss just because of their double weakness of being undead and being dragons. There's lots of different fun ways to take them down.
Yeah, and they've got a really specific script as well. And so, like, the knowledge that you have of what they do is also a really interesting part of this fight as well.
Oh, that is true. We do have Fire Claws for Yang, so if he uses that power, he won't trigger their virus script, and he'll still be getting that elemental damage. And it looks like that's what Kemps is doing right now. Meanwhile, Lofoz definitely also struggling with this Wyvern fight, but just barely ekes through it.
Rosa up to the level of white, using that against the D-Lunars. Magic is okay to use, and this is where if you have Palom, you could just spam Quake as a way to deal massive damage to the moon.
Yep, that's power on Yang doing 8,000 damage. Those Fire Claws getting a workout.
Oh yeah, even at this point in the game, you can hit those elemental weaknesses. Ooh, that's just nice. Gets one of those dragons down, just one left.
Queuing up a white with Rosa. As undeads, they're also weak against the holy element. This is going much, much better for Kemps in this fight.
Yeah, I might have not realized just how strong the virus was at this point at this particular boss spot. I thought he'd be able to just heal and recover from the viruses. And when he saw that, he's like, I've got to change up my strategy, and really effectively did, and now is really making short work of these D-Lunars.
And Lofoz is coming into the D-Lunar fight here too. And it's so close right now. I actually think, despite being behind in this particular fight, because Lofoz knows where the pass is, I actually think he's a little bit ahead right now.
Yeah, I tend to agree. But Kemps has completed this fight and gets the Baron Key.
Well, it looks like we're doing some more item diving. I hope they do Twim Harp because, like I said, my commentating has been cursing against hearing the harp music.
Well, I believe d2kemps hasn't checked the vanilla Wyvern spot yet, so I bet that will be his next place.
Oh, you are correct.
And looks like he does remember that he didn't pick up this Twin Harp, so heading right back good. There. That is a relief. Healing
as little as possible for this free fight.
I wouldn't have been surprised if Kemps was like, did I forget to do that? And so on the way back, it's going to open the room, and if the chests were open, we'll just leave. And if not, like, I did forget, and here we go. It looks like we see lunar frogs.
Ooh, I was just about to mention that. Lofoz has successfully frogged the lunar dragons. It's not guaranteed that they will hit themselves and turn themselves into frogs, so it's always nice when you get that first try. Oh, and today I learned that reflected unicorn horns do not unfrog them.
Well, Scarlet Kitty is saying Kemps knew all along that he had ungotten the harp. So.
Oh, what happened there? On Lofoz's side.
I am not quite sure. It looks
I
like
saw that they used a unicorn and that reflected, but it didn't seem to... Yeah, I don't know what happened there. We'll have to ask him about it at the end of the race. Chad, do you have any idea what happened there?
The only thing that might have been awkward is, and I don't know if he had the item at all, if he had a moon veil and accidentally reflected a moon veil onto one of the lunar frogs, that would be a bad situation, but I don't know if that happened.
Chat thinking he may be soft locked. His characters weren't taking turns.
Oh, it might have been some sort of berserk glitch. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll have to take a look and see if that's a glitch with vanilla, or if that's a randomizer problem. And if we do, Boardface does a very good job of fixing any bugs or glitches, so. But sometimes it's just vanilla. It's funny, because randomizer pushes the game so much, we found bugs in vanilla that no one ever knew were there.
Bugs in vanilla that would never happen because you don't have character X for boss Y, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But throws up the star veils again, gets those lunar frogs, and hopefully this time there's not going to be any shenanigans, and we'll be able to get through this without too much problem.
Meanwhile, Kemp's reaching the last spot that we have no idea what's here. And Mylon.
Mylon and his buddies. His dead buddies.
The zombie crew.
The undead army. I always find...
Go ahead.
I always find the Mylon fight interesting, how people handle this, especially at higher HP spots. And we see it looks like Kemps is focusing on Mylon, because there's two kind of thoughts on this one. You can stop the gas, kill Mylon, and deal with the gas afterwards, or you can use AoE attacks to take out the gas really early and just focus on Mylon. Then he tends to punch a little bit more often. And I think at this spot, the physical attacks are very strong. So playing it safe and just concentrating on Mylon himself seems to be a smart choice here.
Yeah, I agree. And taking advantage of Rosa and that one spell to do really good damage.
And that's another kind of consequence of knowing what the plays are. There is a factor that if the stop wears off and Mylon is dead, then the gas do go kind of crazy. I think with the levels we've got, though, no matter what, it's going to be relatively safe.
Mm-hmm.
Lofoz right on the heels of Kemps once again, heading right to that wyvern spot, going to find Mylon.
Yeah, this is really close now. This has been a really fun one to watch.
So now Kemp's in that position where, oh, but just one more hit and my log goes down. So, well done by Kemp's.
Oh, my body. Oh, that early SNES translation.
Oh, my body.
Lord bless them, they tried. A protectoring, not progress, but an extremely useful piece of equipment.
So now I think still the big question for Kemp's is when does he go to Dwarf Castle?
I know, it's especially with getting the twin harp, you know, does he go to Dwarf Castle or does he chase those other rabbit holes?
My guess is he goes to Baron first, since there's 2 potential key item checks in Baron itself, but we'll see what he decides to do.
Yeah. Lofoz just having that information of where the pass is going to pay off so big.
Get Cooped also reminding us we do still have the Famar boss checks that we haven't seen. And it does look like Kemp's is going underground first. It looks like he might have heard... No, he's not going to Dwarf. He is going to Tomra. Or to Sealed Cave.
Just north of Tomra. I hear it's lovely this time of year.
The beautiful North Tomra Valley.
They run artisan door tours. Sorry, chat, let me know if I'm getting too silly. I have a tendency to be too silly. I blame hanging out with the RPG Valkyries too much. They've made me too silly.
I would venture to say the Sealed Cave is a gated community.
Oh my. Oh dear. Oh no, it's that rope. I swear, that rope. I have hit that rope so many times. You buffer your down input and you do it just a little too long and you go down that rope.
Yeah, that is the troll rope of troll ropes.
Oh, that rope. I empathize because that rope gets me every time.
Now, Lofoz still needs to do a little bit of catch-up here because he hasn't done the Pale Dim spot yet. So he's going back into the Lunar Subterrane. We know that it's just going to be a Stardust Rod, but he doesn't have that information yet, so he's heading back in there.
Mm-hmm. But because Kemp's has already done that, not losing too much time relative.
Right, and especially since Kemp's is doing something that Lofoz has already checked, which is seeing that crystal ring down at the bottom of the Sealed Cave.
And being extremely disappointed. You're not disappointing, Kemp's. I just misspoke.
Looks like he wants to check out those Fame Arch bosses before going on the rabbit holes that he got on the moon.
It'll be really interesting to see if these bosses have the key items we've been looking for all along. And they were just always available to us.
Right, but I don't know how comfortable he'd be at fighting bosses at this place before he did his grind. I think
that is also very true because these 2 spots down here, they are no joke.
Yeah, I think they're kind of deceptively difficult because some of them are cheesable and they're often available really early in a seed, but they are truly endgame boss places.
Yep, and that Ashura spot especially is extremely fast.
And the Angry Canuck, I think you might be right. This might end up saving Kemp's since he decided to go through the underground and do these other things. I'm guessing that there's a decent chance he'll hit up Dwarf Castle on the way out.
Now, Antline's not too bad if you have Moon Veils, which I don't think I've actually seen any of in this seed, or if you have lots of illusion.
Or if you've got a lot of hit points.
That's true, too. That is a very good point.
But this is a very scary spot for a physical boss like Antlion. I think the blink spell is something that's going to be something that they might want to use quite a bit of here.
Probably at least on Rosa. Yang is rocking northwards of 5,000 HP though. He'll probably be fine.
Yeah, we're not really worried about the counter so much at this point. It's the regular physical attacks that are the scary thing here.
Yeah, all these fabulous palettes are great. I believe Shala Kitty does all of these. I have very much enjoyed the alternate color palettes for all our characters.
Now this is huge. Lofoz going through a different routing than Kemps is cashing in that Baron key, and we're going to see some divergence here. This could be huge. One of these may pay off and the other one might not. On the other hand, one of them might be the way to the pigtail and the other one might be the way to the hook.
Yeah, so, and then we're just back where we started.
Right.
It really is. At this point, the execution's been pretty similar. It's really just going to be who has the luck of going to the spot where the items we need are.
And we saw Kelbrina is going to be the first boss here. There's the reminder, the little dolly.
Which shouldn't be too bad with all these levels. The Baron spots, you know, shouldn't be too bad.
Oh yeah, even if for some reason it gets transformed into Big Doll, the high levels will be able to take care of it without any problem.
Yeah, it's that D-Machine grind paying off.
Big time.
It takes a while to start up, but you're just so far ahead afterwards. At this point, it's
There's
really
the
how do you
pigtail.
speed things up. Oh, yep.
So that Antlion fight is required.
But at this point, we still need a hook to turn in those tails.
We still need a hook, and we don't know. Maybe Lofoz's Gambit is going to grant him that hook.
Or maybe it's behind Twin Harp and I'll actually get to hear music.
Or it could really pay off for d2kemps if this Ashura gives the hook.
Yes, that would be serendipitous.
The fact that Kemps is underground and is in relatively close proximity to that dwarf castle, and the fact that he found the hook, that might have brought him back into the lead. This has been a really close race, and I think there's been a lot of subtle lead changes, even though, like, if you're just looking at the actual number of achievements that are completed, that doesn't tell the whole story.
Yeah, no, this has been a really fun one to watch.
A very close race between two very good runners that are really hoping for the win to stay alive in this event.
Yep, this is round 5. This is the last round, so this is your last chance to advance.
And we still don't get a Cecil, but...
Yeah, Cecil's on the giant. We all know that.
Yeah, but taking Edge over Tella, again, I think we've leveled up Tella beyond the point where he's a good agility anchor anymore. So getting just another useful character kind of makes sense.
Yeah. The rescue flags are turned on, I believe. So if you want to go get someone super low level for an agility anchor, that is still an option.
I don't think we've seen a cursed ring this season. There was a dwarf axe for sale, I believe, in Silvera, that you could use along with Sid, and that's usually a pretty decent anchor there. Just the adamant as the key item in the Baron pot. He does have the Odin spot available to him right now as well.
And won't be surprised if he's going right back in to check on it. And meanwhile, Kemps, this Ashura, just took Ashura down. We'll see if it paid off.
Just some arty arrows.
The plot thickens. So we don't have too many spots left. We have this Odin spot. We have whatever's behind the Twin Harp. I believe that's it. Am I missing anything? It's just those two.
That's all that we can see right now. It could be... We don't even have really any... I think it's got to be one of those two, because it can't be behind Rattail, because the hook can't be behind Rattail.
Yeah, so yeah, I think it's just those two.
And Kemps is going to Dwarf Castle, kind of as expected considering his underground routing decisions. So he's going to pick up his pass right here. And that could be huge. Because I'm guessing by just the routing decision, the choices that were made, my guess is Lofoz is going to be heading to music before going back down underground. I could be wrong, though. The fact that there's 2 checks versus 1 might make him go down to the boss's underground first. I guess I can't... It could be either way.
And meanwhile, Lofoz's Leviathan fight taking a little bit of time, but not struggling too much. And there it goes. Wow. My timing is uncanny.
Just a Leviathan summon. There's the reset. So that means I think music is required.
So it's music time! Get out those emotes. We're gonna hear some lovely harp music tonight, and my cursed streak shall be broken. Back into the big whale for Lofoz, switching up to the Enterprise, which means I'm thinking he's going underground first. And yes, he's going underground, heading to the Feymarch. He's going to be finding that pink tail behind the antlion, and that's going to be... Considering how much of this seed both of them have completed, I wouldn't be surprised if both of them think they're behind at this point. Yeah. Yeah, the psychology of racing is kind of fascinating to me.
Yeah, this going underground first that Kemps did, I think is paying off pretty big time. If he decides to go to Baron first, which I totally would understand, and I would probably make that choice as well, could give Lofoz a little bit of time to catch up, but I don't know if it's both Feymarch bosses' time. That's the thing.
Yeah, this has been a very interesting seed.
Mr. Bus Driver, the moon had Twin Harp, which was required.
Yeah, the seed, it definitely is the Scala Kitty Classic, in that it deceptively looked pretty easy at first, but not so much.
So Lofoz in the key antlion fight, which is required. This is going to give him the pink tail. As we mentioned before, very high physical attack in this point. Luckily, Lofoz has a ton of levels that are going to help him get through this fight.
Yep, and Rose is there for the healing.
Ooh, Kemp's heading to music before going to Baron. This is huge.
Might be the winning play there, because at this rate, Lofoz is on everything.
This might be, I mentioned that both the runners might think they're behind. This might be the gamble d2kemps is making because he thinks he might be behind. to go to the spot with just one key item than the place with two, just on the gamble.
Yep. But we know that gamble's going to pay off. But it's still anybody's game. Zeromus is, a last boss that can mess around with you a little bit.
Kept double checking his inventory, like, what do I not have? And that hook is the one we're looking for. And I believe the hook has to be here.
Anyway, if you're new to Free Enterprise, we have a very fun Easter egg of Edward's harp music that he normally plays to annoy the Dark Elf is replaced by a custom cover song. And it can be just about anything, but we have lots of video game covers, and it's great. And I'm probably just going to be quiet here for a bit and see what song we get.
Yeah, it's one of the most fun Easter eggs about Free Enterprise. One of the real bits of charm that has been put into this game, and one of the reasons why it's just so much fun. It's time for us to take a moment to listen to DJ Spoonie B's Rockin' Tunes.
I recognize this from Super Mario RPG.
All right, so Kemps, make sure you time your buttons right in this fight with the Super Mario RPG music.
Get those timed hits.
Yeah, exactly. Lofoz is through Ashura, so it's taking care of both of the bosses down there, and the only place that's left for him now is Cave Magnus, so he's going to be heading there next. That's the only place he has available to him at this point.
And that's the difference right now is Kemp's not checking Baron.
Yeah. I think there's been
close.
Yeah, there's been a lot of really interesting routing choices. It's been making this a really exciting race, and we're right down to the end now. There is that hook.
So we're gonna go turn in some tails, because there's this guy, and he really likes tails for some reason. I'm not gonna judge.
Yeah, if you like tails, go ahead and collect them.
I mean, these are at least ethically sourced tails.
Well, I mean, the one from a rat probably required a rat to die.
Free-range organic tails.
And I don't know if the pink tail is right from the pink puffs. Like, the sprite doesn't look like they have tails.
Where's the tail of the pink puff?
Yeah, that is one of the mysteries of the ages.
I guess a pink puff's so squishy you could sort of squish it into a vaguely tail shape.
Hey, if that works for the guy in the Adamant Grotto, I'll have. But in this case,
conversation is going weird places.
But in this version, in this flag set, there is no adamant armor. We'll get a top tier piece of equipment, or a very good item like a moon veil out of this, but you won't get an adamant armor. and it looks like Kemps may have been a little too excited.
He didn't grab got a little too excited. I don't blame him. Forgot he didn't grab the airship. Now I'm just thinking that maybe the whole pink puff is the tail. The tail is the entire puff.
So you're giving an entire corpse to this guy? This guy is... I don't know.
Organic corpse.
I'd prefer to think it's what Scala Kitty says. It's actually a gummy worm. I think that's much better.
Yeah, that's much more pleasant. Thanks, Scala.
We got an Avenger, and we get... we don't get the crystal yet, because that's actually not going to be given to us until we open the door in Troya. So...
Yep, that Avenger is equipable by Kane. Oh, what's he do? Is he going to get more items? No.
Nope, he's heading to Troya. There we go. That's good. Yeah, I was a little. I bet he was thinking for a minute. Why didn't I get the from that? And then he's like, oh yeah.
You have to open the door first.
It's actually opening the door that is what caused it. Now I was going to check out that agility situation. Is not going to be super happy. Not going to use an agility 27 Rosa to anchor. That would be about as bad as it could be.
Would be no bueno. Well, since it's about that time, we have a very important question, and I'm going to let you ask the question.
All right. Well, whose butt are we going to kick tonight? Get out your Z flags because it is butt time. d2kemps using that shortcut to head to Zeramus's lair down at the subterranean in the lunar core. And we're going to use the crystal to transform Zeramus into his final form. And we do not know what that form is going to look like, although it will act like Zeramus normally acts. Lofoz got his hook, and he needs to turn in that pink tail, head over to Toria. He might be a minute or so behind Kemps, but this is going to be a very close finish. And it might be anchoring situations that determine the winner in this fight. But it might just be brute strength.
And last time, I believe we counted, we're at over 150 different possible sprites for Zeramus. These are also made by The Wonderful, who is our restreamer tonight as well.
You might have got cut off just a little bit there at Scala Kitty.
Probably. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Just Scala's name was the only thing that got cut off. The rest of your sentence came in. We have Seymour's summon Animus as the Zeramus, right? Animusmus or whatever.
That's hard to say. Animusmus.
Animamus.
Amanimamus. But obviously, with all these physical attackers, gonna go with a Berserk strategy. Rose's healing, Bacchus Twines are being responsibly consumed, and the levels are so high for d2kemps right now, I don't foresee too much trouble, but, you know, Zeramus gonna Zeramus. Sometimes he does that whole, Big Bang directly into Medio and catches you off guard.
I think even if Zeramus is faster than you normally want him to be, the fact that we've got levels just so high means you can take a full strength Big Bang and be able to recover with Rosa. I don't foresee. I think the situation that you described, like a really nasty Big Bang into Medio immediately following, is about the only situation, and even that, I bet Kemps would be able to survive.
Yep, it is definitely Kemps' race to lose right now.
I agree.
Not that Lofoz is very far behind.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for Lofoz because he did basically a full clear of this seed. Kemp's able to avoid Baron Castle, and that's really the difference in this race, is not going through that one particular rabbit hole.
My brain is still working on animamus. Manamamus. It's like anemone. Too many vowels. Yes, manamana. Do 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 do.
Ananabus.
Y'all are great.
And both of our runners in the final fight at the same time. This is the sign of a great race, folks. We had a really, truly great race tonight.
Yeah, it was back and forth and back and forth. And really, the difference at the end was if d2kemps had chose to go to Baron instead of give us the lovely music, it would be too close to call right now.
Yeah, in that situation, Lofoz might have the lead at this point. It's really hard to say. But they're both in a similar situation. I believe Lofoz has slightly better levels, all things considered, but the timing edge goes to Kemps.
And that's just the nature of randomizers. Sometimes you just have those 50-50 chances and just make the wrong coin flip.
Ooh, we get the HP ran out on Edge there.
That's a bummer, not just because you lose a character, but because that text box takes up some time, too.
It does. You'd rather him just take the death with the Big Bang in this situation for speed purposes. I'm seeing a couple critical hits, and I'm thinking, is that the flash for the finish? I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, I had that problem the other night, actually. But the triple berserk strategy working out pretty well.
Yep, they're both just hanging out with Rosa, waiting until that Big Bang comes to get that Cure 4 out there.
Simple yet effective.
Oh, we're seeing rocks falling over on Kemp's screen.
Wait for it.
And there's the flash. Kane gets the hit that knocks down Animus, and we get the winner of DJ. I keep calling him TJ. d2kemps wins 2 hours, 8 minutes, and 2 seconds, and will be advancing to the next round. Very hard pop fight, very well played. GG's to Kemps.
Woo, that was a good race.
And let's see if we can get Kemps in here for an interview.
Okay. And Lofoz getting pretty close to the end here too.
Ooh, another black hole.
Always annoying. You have to wait a whole turn of subpar DPS, and then you gotta do another turn of getting all that Bacchus wine drunk again. This was actually a pretty tough seed.
I think there were a couple of tough bosses, especially early in this seed. the grind option of the D machine kind of made sure that the bosses weren't going to be a tough issue for the rest of it once that was completed. But I must say, this where the key items were just made it like Lofoz full cleared this, Kemps almost full cleared this. Like, it was finding the items was really the real boss of this seed.
Yeah, that blue turtle in the Bahamut spot wasn't so great either, but that's what kind of drove both runners towards that D machine grind. But yes, after that mega grind, not too hard of a seed. Lofoz has, yep, there's the rocks. I was just about to say he has to be pretty close. Wait for it again.
There's the flash.
Woo! GG to both of our runners. What a race. Within 3 minutes of each other. And that's pretty impressive for any randomizer.
And
go ahead.
I think we've got both Kemps and Lofoz in for the interview. Very close race. GG's to Kemps and GG's to Lofoz for keeping this really close.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
So that was a super awesome race. You guys were trading the lead back and forth, and as a viewer, super entertaining to watch.
Thank you.
It wasn't as fun on our side, though.
I can absolutely believe that. You had to go through a real long scavenger hunt and able to find that hook to finish it up. So I'll start with you, Kemps. What did you think of the seed overall?
It was awful. I mean, I made a few obvious mistakes. Not saving before Wyvern meant I needed to do that kind of long fight twice.
Sure.
But just like being required to do that fight twice, or like even once on the moon to get a key item on the Earth, it was just awful.
And Lofoz, same question.
Basically the same thing. Like, it was rough, and it's like everywhere I checked, I'm like, all right, this has got to be one of the things I need. Nope. How about this one? Nope. And it just kept going forever, and I'm staring like, how is he not done yet? What is going on right now?
I spent the entire time saying exactly the same thing. Like, how are you not done?
Yeah, so Lofoz, you ended up full clearing the seed, 17 out of 17, and Kemps was just 16 out of 17. So, really the difference in the race was, I think Kemps didn't go to Baron, and Lofoz did, and that was really like it ended up 3-minute difference, and that could have been the 3 minutes right there.
Yeah, we talked about that after we were both finished, and he was like, I'm surprised you went to Baron, and I was like, well, I saw it as like 2 checks that were easy and relatively quick, as opposed to one at Twin Harp. And I knew I needed 2 items still, so I just decided to go there first, and I was kind of hoping for somebody to replace my over-leveled Tella.
Oh, you still needed 2 items when you made that choice.
Yeah.
Okay, I only needed 1.
Right, because one of the other routing divergences, Kemps, was once you were done with the moon, you went straight to the Feymarch bosses, where Lofoz went to Baron first, and so that was also played in your favor, Kemps, because you were able to route the Dwarf Castle check, which Lofoz had already completed, which ended up having that pass, which was also required.
Yeah, I banged my face against that one a couple times in the beginning.
I saw it was Odin and went, I'm not doing this until I've leveled.
What did you guys think of that blue turtle at Bahamut spot?
I went there hoping it was like just a free boss. And it was not, obviously.
I saw it. I saw it when I went there early to get the character, and just went to check, and I was like, "Oh, okay, now so there's gonna be rough." And then after I went way over levels on my D machine grind, it was actually pretty simple.
And
One
it
of
was
the,
both of you kind of saw that, and then you went and did a D machine grind.
one other thing I wanted to ask you about, Lofoz, when you fought the D lunars down at the bottom of the moon, do you know what happened the first time you went there?
Yeah,
I think we soft locked.
I found a new soft lock strategy that I was unaware of. I wanted to, for some reason, I thought, hold on. All right, there it goes. For some reason, I thought the Unihorn would get rid of my walls. I don't know why, and then it reflected it onto the frogs and just soft locked everything.
Yeah, we have already started the process of sending that on to the appropriate authorities.
It was cool to see, though, at least. I was like, oh, I learned something new today.
Yep, and now you can have a soft lock name.
Yeah, the Lofoz soft lock might be in effect. Kemps, this brings you to 3 and 2, so you make it to at least the play-in round. Have you been practicing for the next stage of this event yet?
Oh no, not at all. I honestly didn't expect to win tonight, if I'm honest.
Well, too bad, you did.
Too bad. Yeah. I mean, like, I'll have to start practicing, obviously. I'll do that in the mornings after I get off work. But, yeah. I don't even know what those flags are.
Well, do either of you have any other final thoughts about this race or the event, all things considered?
I know I had a lot of fun, and now that I'm out, I can kind of focus on some restreaming stuff. Hopefully, get back in the comm booth, do some other stuff. And I honestly couldn't ask for a better way to go out because that was a real close race.
Agreed. That was a great race.
Yeah, thank you both for that was a great watch, so thank you for the fun.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys for restreaming.
All right, those are our 2 runners tonight, Lofoz and our winner, Kemps. Make sure to give them a follow. Also, last shout outs here to the Restream crew. We've got Ike here who did the tracking tonight, very helpful. And of course, the wonderful Scala Kitty on the restreaming. My partner, Kinda Nerdy Housewife. And we're going to be sending you over to the other race in this event tonight over on the Free Enterprise channel. Do you have any other last thoughts there, KNH?
No, that's good for me. That was a fun time, and I'm gonna go watch the other race with y'all.
All right, have a good evening, everybody.